Here to take care of my 90-year-old parents. Before that, I was a state licensed electrical contractor, and I had a multi-million-dollar electrical contracting firm in Orlando. I was there for 25 years. Before that, I was also the regional vice president for a multi-billion-dollar mortgage corporation, where we had 46 offices in the southeastern United States. The property appraiser's office, I'm sure you haven't heard a lot of it for the most part in 28 years since he hasn't had to run since 1980. That was the last time that my opponent was elected. So he now has opposition this year for the first time. But I guess what you may have seen in the newspaper today that they had endorsed the incumbent, and I seem to remember during the primary that the news press endorsed all the incumbents. So I guess what I'd like to ask you folks are a few simple questions. One, over the last 4 years, are you better off today or were you better off 4 years ago? If the people that have not been have been representing you over the last 4 years have not been improving your lots in life, or at least minimizing the damage that is being done to our county, then I ask you, why would you vote them back in again? I would think that would be ludicrous. The newspaper also said in the times that we have right now that this isn't the time to change property appraisers. Well, then I guess maybe 4 years ago would have been a better time, when property appraisal rates were going up 345% average over the last 7 years. I don't know about you folks, but as a small businessman, 345% is a huge load to try and put into your overhead. I can't imagine a family here in Lee County doing that. We already have 32,000 foreclosures. You've already heard that this evening, the #1 foreclosure market in the nation. A lot of that was due to the deregulation of the banks and our insurance problems. We also have problems in the fact of 345% average increase in property values in the last 7 years. Economics 101 says that if your property taxes go up, your value goes down. So I ask you right now, are the values down this year over the last 4 years? A lot of the things that I ask may seem simplistic, but actually that's what all of business is. You identify what the problem is, you come up with a solution, you implement the solution. Now, if you go to the leapa.org, you'll find a lot of problems in there. Awards, accolades, and endorsements for the incumbent have not saved our homes, plain and simple. If you look in Lehigh at the corner of Joel and Bell, you will find a Sweet Bay supermarket. It was sold for $3.5 million in '99. This year is the first year ever it was assessed over $3 million. By now, by the growth of what was put onto your houses and your homes in Lehigh and your vacant lots, which went from $3,000 to $42,000, that Sweet Bay should have been assessed on a rising market up to over $9 million today. There's $6 million in one single year that is left on the table by the incumbent. And where do you think he makes up the $6 million in the budget? So, once again, if elected, the two things that I would implement or change would be, one, I will be doing fair, reasonable, and rational assessments of your property so that we maintain a stable base for business in Lee County. The other thing I'll be doing is improving the customer service that is in the property appraiser's office, and making sure, as one gentleman said, that you're doing open forums, that you are transparent, that you have accountability. And the way you would measure my performance, plain and simple, is that you would be able to get hold of us, that you would be told ahead of time how to fight us, how to go to VAB hearings, that you would be helped with your agricultural exemptions, not told that you're failing and that you, for your $15 out of the over 8,500 properties last year, initially 24 of them won. You really think the other 8,000 were wrong? So I ask you to vote for me, John Glazer for appraiser, for property appraiser this year on November 4th or before. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry St. Amand. I'm running for Lee County Property Appraiser. I arrived in North Fort Myers actually in 1970. I love this area and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. I look forward to serving the community upon my election. I raised a family here. I have 2 grown children, 2 grandchildren. I'm not going to spend a lot of time about myself because I really want to dive right into those 2 issues right there, which is going to tie in perfectly for what I have here. Recently, I've been known as the angry candidate, and really I'm more like the angry taxpayer because of what I see going on, both at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. So you'll see some of my examples here of what I find to be unfair taxation. And I think it's a rampant problem, much worse than I ever imagined back in February of 2008 when I decided to run for this office. I want to say that I'm the angry candidate. I'm not angry because of hate. I'm angry because I care about Lee County and will not sit idly by as our current government abuses its power and adversely affects its people. First thing that I will do upon my election to Lee County Property Appraiser is come up with a system so that we can all check our assessment against who we're being compared to. Right now, you cannot get a clear path to value with the current property appraiser. That is a problem I've had, everybody just about that I know has had. So if you go in there, the customer service, when it comes to them explaining how they came up with your assessment, is very poor. My idea that I will put on the internet is what I call a clear path to value. I call it Nosy Neighbor, a little nickname I gave it. Basically, you'd have like a 1-mile grid. You would be compared to everyone in your neighborhood. You would easily, with today's computers, obviously, should be a click away. You click on there, you should be able to see who you're compared to very easily. I think that's very important. And I want to show you some examples of things that will not happen if we have this type of system. What we've got here is we've got properties that are just unrealistically appraised. Now all these properties I have right here, all the industrial stuff, now you're probably thinking one might be one side of town. No, they're all within 1/4 of a mile, some of it only 200 feet, some of it only 100 feet away. $2 a square foot for the building. $5 a square foot for the building. Another $5 for the square foot of building. $5. $5. I mean, you can't even get a house appraised for this. I mean, it's, I call it unbelievable. This one, $48, like I said, 100 feet away. $49, 200 feet away. These 2 industrial buildings, Mr. Wilkinson, I've been asking him this all week at all our debates. How'd you come up with this? And he swears up and down that they're different. Well, they're not different. They're both 4-unit buildings, individually rented out, got their separate electric, firewalls, you name it. You've got the one guy with the smaller building paying more tax than the guy with the twice the size building. Mr. Wilkinson has yet to answer that, and I know that his representative will speak after this. Maybe they'll have an answer. Excuse me. You've got 2 lots in the Cape Coral Industrial Park. Check this out. One's assessed at $78,000. His neighbor's $41,000. Okay? That's not what I call fair and equal assessing. This right here, this is Pine Island. Same beautiful view, same island lifestyle. Okay, this is right in Pineland. Okay, I'm running out of time. Okay. As I said, if we had a system to go on the internet, my proposal will keep these things from happening. And as I said also, I'm still waiting for an answer from the current property appraiser. I went into the news press interview. I would implore any of you to watch the interview and you tell me who won and how they came up with the endorsement, because I still haven't figured it out. You can call me angry, you can call me anything you want, but I'm honest, and I say that in the video. So I need your support to make a difference in Lee County. My name is Larry St. Amand. I need your vote so that we can have a better system of property appraising. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm obviously not Ken Wilkinson. My name is Art Hamill. Ken had a conflict tonight and he asked me to fill in for him, and I'm happy to do so. I'll be glad to address the items that this forum suggested. I do want to go into a little bit of what we just heard. I mean, I mean, this is not the first time I've heard this, and it makes me wonder whether we should just go out and hang Ken. Maybe we just get some rope and go get him. But there are people here from the property appraiser's office tonight who will discuss these properties. I won't discuss all of them because the idea of discussing any individual property takes a good deal of time. I don't have the time to do that. I can't defend all of those. I will explain to you, though, why you should be voting for Ken. Let's take a few facts to start with. The property appraiser does not set taxes. Now, you'll see some signs out that say somebody's going to lower your taxes. The property appraiser assesses property. There are 92 taxing districts who take that assessment and then decide what they want to charge you. And I suggest that those are the people you need to ask about where your money is being spent. The appraiser sets a value on a parcel based upon weighing tens, sometimes hundreds of criteria. This is a commercial appraisal report. 120 pages. They range usually from 120 to sometimes 200 pages. There are literally tens to hundreds of criteria that range from a parcel of property, whether the person has deferred maintenance on their property, whether they have different hurricane doors, when the property was built, what materials were used in it. Even the traffic count of the cars that pass by the front of the building determine change value, because an investor looks at these and decides do they want us over here or over there. No two properties are the same, and in fact, sometimes an investor will take a compass and put it on top of a piece of property and draw a circle and see how many rooftops are around a particular property, decide whether he's going to be supported by the retail associated with the area. Real estate is dynamic, it changes every day. So let's get a few facts straight. 600,000 parcels in Lee County. The property appraiser has to appraise those every single year. No parcel is the same, as I mentioned. It's a free market. And you should understand that the appraiser, what he does is he appraises all these properties, then he sets what's known as a tax roll. The Department of Revenue is in charge of making sure that it's not too low. He has to certify his tax roll to the Department of Revenue, and if it's too low, they won't certify his tax roll. So they say, we want prices up. Well, if the values are up, the individual citizens have a value adjustment board. You can take your values and you can go to this independent value adjustment board and say, you're too high, and get those dropped by an independent group of folks. So there's no incentive for Ken to have them too low or too high. That's fair appraisal. Ken has a storied history. He's a Vietnam vet. He had a national security clearance when he was in Vietnam. He was a senior bank examiner, a senior bank president in Lehigh Acres. He was a real property appraiser. And I don't believe the two gentlemen that spoke earlier are real property appraisers. He ran in 1980 and won. He's a dedicated warrior for Lee County citizens. I think you know most of you about Save Our Homes. When he was faced with citizens who told that they couldn't pay property taxes in the 80s when they rose like they have today, he developed a plan with private time and private money, knocked out of court twice, and put that on a state ballot for all citizens of Lee County. When that showed that the property was hurting real estate, he developed portability, something you all voted in 2007. He's got 2 amendments on the ballot this year, one for marinas and one for a tax swap. Let me take that back. The tax swap got knocked out, but that's one of his goals, to try and take school board taxes off your tax roll. If you keep Ken in office, you're voting for a dedicated public servant that has always looked out for Lee County citizens. Vote for Ken on November 4th. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Christian Meister. Thank you for coming tonight. The current administration is going to bring up something tonight that happened 20 years ago. I'm 40 years old. Number 2, there was a marriage proposal and a breakup in my personal life The lady went to court and simply there was nothing. Number 3, the current administration is spreading lies about me. And here it is, here's my Florida State Officer certification. Ladies and gentlemen, today, this morning, there was an article in the news press. It is really a bunch of crap, okay? Number 1, they say they have no experience. But I have more experience than the current administration. I was in the military, protecting this country, while the current administration was watching CNN on television. The current administration will also tell you tonight that I did never answer a call in my life. I was waiting for war, okay? I'm a veteran of Operation Desert Storm. I'm leaning over so you can hear me because I'm too tall, stupid microphones are too short for me, okay? The administration will also tell you tonight that I have to go through a learning curve. The current sheriff has 20 years experience as a road patrol officer, and he still can't get public service right. He's going to say, well, actually, he has no job experience for this job because he is only a road patrol man and maybe a traffic man. But he's not supposed to be a patrolman. He's supposed to be an administrator. A word spoken by a high-ranking official who demonstrates ignorance or a cultural or religious bias has the effect of communicating that certain people in this county are not going to receive equal protection. Ladies and gentlemen, we need that people come to this county, okay? Because we are having a severe economic turn down. But we are sending the message not only to the Lee County, but also to the whole United States that don't come to this county. I'm a candidate for sheriff. I'm 40 years old, and I'm from Austria. Why should you vote for me? I believe it is important that we can trust our sheriff. I believe our tax base deserve a public service. When a resident gets pulled over by a police officer, we want to trust that the police officer is doing a good job. We want honesty, integrity, and fairness. A commitment to public service. When we have an administration that is an embarrassment to Lee County and the entire nation, ladies and gentlemen, we should ask this question: do we want a leadership that is going to embarrass us? Or do we trust our leadership that is capable of setting policies that can provide us with a professional police force that can respect the people's rights and dignity? Or do we have a top-down administration that gives us law enforcement officers and a service to the taxpayers that is an embarrassment to Lee County? I have to say this. As the senior law enforcement official of this county, I will not embarrass you before the nation. I will set the standard and the officer attitudes will follow. What will I do? Number 1, we do not need to concentrate 2 or 3 officers in one location to see how many traffic tickets we can write. Number 2, if you really want to lower the crime rate, we need to do more for the kids. We need to give them life skills they need so they can stay out of jail. We in law enforcement do not live in a vacuum. I know you will be sure I am the right sheriff for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg, for hosting this. And I'd also like to publicly congratulate Virginia for coming to this country legally. It continues to be one of the major problems facing law enforcement. It's just a proof in the pudding that it can be done. I also want to start by assuring you that Florida and federal law allows me to be here with you tonight at this political function in uniform. For those of you that have seen me on the campaign trail, both in the primary election and the general, I wear the uniform everywhere. So be careful what you see and hear. I'd also like to suggest, with all due respect to all these candidates who have spoken before me and those commission candidates that will speak after me, that while those things are very, very critically important in any community, there is perhaps nothing more critical then who's in charge when you go home and hit the light switch and go to sleep tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one candidate for sheriff before you that has never been arrested in his life. There's only one candidate before you that has never had an injunction for protection filed for domestic violence against a woman. And there is only one candidate for sheriff before you who has ever been a police officer. I have been the first officer to respond to everything from a barking dog or a loud music complaint all the way up to a double homicide. We managed a immigration march of 70,000 people in this community. How do you know what's going on? How do you measure the track record? Look at the marijuana grow houses that have been shut down. Look at the aggressive traffic enforcement that has injury crashes and fatal crashes down on our roadways for the first time in 3 consecutive years of my 4 in office. I would submit to you, with all due respect, if I were ill tomorrow morning and needed help, I would look to Dr. Stephen Brown, to Dr. Paige Kriegel, who's gone. I would look to JJ or Betty G. Why? Because they have experience in the healthcare profession. And I would suggest to you, when you do go home tonight and hit that light switch to go to sleep, or if you were ill in the morning, would you want a surgeon who had never performed surgery? Or would you want someone who has been doing it for 21 years? My wife and I married for 22 years. We're raising 2 daughters here in this community. It's much more than political rhetoric when I suggest to you that I'm intimately concerned and involved with things that threaten our public safety. Gangs in our schools, drugs in our streets, traffic on our roadways. Again, a proven record. I'm going to do what my opponent did not do, and that's address the question. If elected, what 2 items would you do? We have 2 primary functions at our sheriff's office, your sheriff's office. Mission critical and non-mission critical. Mission critical, someone answers the phone, somebody dispatches the deputy responds, the deputy handles the matter, perhaps there's an arrest, takes someone to jail, and the jail portion of our component of our operation is managed as well, up until a judge or somebody releases, and that's mission critical. Non-critical, someone asked me tonight, I missed you in the parade the other day in Cape Coral. Parades, citizens academies, things of that nature are not mission critical. And you'll read, I think in tomorrow's paper, that through internal cuts in those non-mission critical efforts, we've been able to bring back, with the help of our current Board of Commissioners, the DARE program, through internal funding restructures. I've successfully negotiated 4 consecutive budgets with our Board of County Commission. They've been wonderful to work with. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in business administration. I will submit to you and every other educated and informed voter in this county that if there is a mistake or a misstep along the way, no one in their right mind would throw out 21 years of valuable, proven experience. It's very scary when you talk about injunctions for protection for domestic violence, arrests, and zero experience as a law enforcement officer in the state of Florida. So think about me tonight when you turn that switch off and know that 24/7, I am fiercely committed and dedicated to law enforcement and public safety in the streets of Lee County. I look forward to your support on November 4th. I'm confident that we have another 4 years of success ahead of us. Thank you.
I always hate following the sheriff because he's a tough act to follow and he always makes me look like I need a haircut. Sorry. All right, where do we start? We've been talking a lot about government tonight with some very good qualified candidates, and we've probably hit almost every issue you could possibly think of. Some of the things that people don't give too much thought about is when they go into the ballot box and they go to poke that name for president, they got to realize that these other offices are just as important. Matter of fact, if not more important. They affect you locally. They affect you daily. I mean, these are things that you have to take in consideration. Some people sometimes say they're going to skip a district, or I'm one of these people that, and it looks like we have a group like that tonight that goes right down the list and educates themselves and knows who they're voting for. Let me give you a little history about me. I've been married 22 years to my wife, Brenda, which is here tonight, my biggest supporter, I think. And I have 2 grown children, Jessica and AJ the third. AJ the third, I think I can still go on. AJ the third is off in college. I'm a former city council member from Cape Coral. I served 9 years for my community, on top of doing 20 years of community service, things like Kiwanis and working with the Cultural Park Theater, and I could bore you to death with all these things, but I do have a webpage, www.voteajboyd.com, and you can brush up and take a look at some of the things that I have done in the community. I'll leave that part out here tonight. During that 9 years, I've also served as Mayor Pro Tem for 3 years, 3 consecutive years. So I have a couple of in-house little titles there. I was one of the youngest people elected to the City Council and the first one to hold 3 consecutive years as Mayor Pro Tem. Why am I running? Well, the reason I'm running is it's not that I think that the current county commissioner is a bad person, or I'm not going to sit here and zing him. I'm asking that you give somebody new, somebody with fresh ideas, somebody that can do some out-of-the-box thinking, a chance to represent you at the county level. Now, I've had a proven track record with the city of Cape Coral, and I'm dedicated right now to creating jobs, lowering taxes, controlling spending, and saving our environment. I've, in my flyers, pointed that out, and I've also pointed out ways I've done it in the past, dropping the millage rate from 6.8 in Cape Coral to 4.832 over the 9 years I was in office, never once having a millage increase. To answer these questions here, I wish I had my glasses, I broke them right before I came up, so I'm going to try to do my best. If elected, what 2 items would you implement or change? Excellent question. I'll do one of each. I'll implement a better tax and incentive program to bring in jobs. People talk about lowering taxes and how important it is to lower taxes, but my friends and relatives and neighbors that are going through foreclosure right now, they're really not concerned about lowering their property tax that they're about to lose. They say to me, AJ, get me a job, help me out. Offering a tax incentive to somebody losing their house is like offering a full tank of gas to a bicyclist. It means nothing. What we need to do is come up with more incentives, impact fee credits. I won't bore you with them. I will stick around tonight. The other one would be, what would I change? Lack of town hall meetings. I think that we need to go around town to town, city to city, location to location, and meet with our citizens in your neighborhood. Not in my neighborhood, not downtown Fort Myers, in your neighborhood. And I think the county commissioners need to rotate the town hall meetings. I vow to do that. How would you measure these things? You'd measure them by, well, obviously if the jobs come to town, people would have businesses popping up and jobs created. It'd be an easy one to measure, actually. And the town hall meetings, well, you'd see citizens' ideas being implemented on a regular basis and citizens being proud to live in their community once again. In closing, let me do say this, please. Having 2 opponents from Sanibel, I have realized that sometimes politicians that live on an island tend to forget what the people in the mainland need. I'm a working class guy. I've lived here for 22 years, raised a family. Please vote for AJ Boyd November 4th and visit my website, voteajboyd.com. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Bob James. I'm a county commissioner and I'm running for re-election. I'm running for my 3rd term. I've completed the 2 terms. I was first elected in 2000, again in 2004, and I'm running for re-election in 2008. There's a number of issues I think that are extremely important today. I'm going to try to focus on questions that have been answered and asked us, and Ray would like us to comment on. First is, what 2 items would you implement or change? All of the items that we talk about and all the problems that we have in Lee County can be combined into one general topic called growth management. I'm going to take that topic. I won't talk a lot about the environment because there are other candidates here who will. Instead, I want to talk about 2 other issues. One is healthcare, and the second, of course, is the economy. The economy is in dire shape. We need to do what we can to get this economy moving again. Now, bear in mind that we're a county level government. We're not the federal government, so we cannot institute new programs. We cannot implement new bailout programs for home mortgages or anything like that. But we can do certain things such as speed up the processing for applications for home permitting or residential or commercial construction that are ready to go at the present time. That gets the unemployed back on behind the job working to try to get them some paychecks. That we can do, and that we are committed to do. We can also take problems like we've got with Manor Christian, develop some new housing, perhaps use some of the funds available that are coming down from the federal level of government to develop housing programs where we can buy some of those 22,000 homes that people have lost because of mortgage default, rehab them and sell them as affordable or get them involved in the affordable housing program. We can do things like that. And we can use the bully pulpit to talk about and encourage other people in other areas of government to do the same thing. I think also, in terms of long term, we have a problem where we need to begin getting our economy away from reliance on tourism and construction. Tremendous need. And one of the ways that we are doing it and trying to do it is to develop a program where we're going out and recruit new types of businesses, so-called high-tech, high-wage, high-tech businesses. And we're in the process of doing that and implementing that program. We're already working on projects such as a new high-tech project out by the airport. And we're also working to get a new 75-bed psychiatric hospital into Lee County as well. And that then kind of turns me back over to the health issue. To me, I find it a disgrace that we're a community of 600,000 people, and we're 49th state in the U.S. for mental health funding. Absolutely dreadful. We need to do much better in that area. We need to work on jail diversion programs. We need to get the mentally ill out of the jails and into treatment programs, community treatment programs. This is what we need to do. And this is a program that I'm extremely interested in, and I have been working on, will continue to work on, so long as there's still breath left in me. Sometimes I wonder how many breaths I have left in me, and all due respects to my colleagues interested in running against me. But I think this is a very, very important issue. We need to begin a decent, active jail diversion programs that make sense. Pre-arrest and post-arrest diversion programs. Both are exceedingly important. You may be interested to know that until recently, Lee Memorial Hospital had one psychiatrist on its staff. And again, let me tell you, that's the largest hospital in our area, and we are 600,000 people. That's kind of sad, isn't it? Really, really sad. We cannot provide the type of services that people need, community services that we need to help out people in that area. So I'm extremely interested in trying to work in the health area and also, of course, on the economy. Others, of course, are the ecology and the environment. Tremendous problems in this area. We need to do what we can to preserve our water, drinking supplies, and to clean up the water that's around us here, that is around us, because this is what brings people to our area. And this is what we really need to do to make this place viable again. And if I'm reelected, I will do just that. I'm full-time, I have been, and I always will be, your full-time elected county commissioner. I've enjoyed the opportunity to serve, and I'm looking forward to another few years of doing the same. Thank you very much, and remember to vote for me on the 4th of November. It's Bob James. Thank you.